here to give you the wrap-up of the council meeting that happened earlier this morning. So a couple of key mayoral minutes went up and were endorsed. One which I'm really excited about is the establishment of a Mayoral Community Impact Fund and Schools Mayoral Emerging Leadership Awards. So there is already a mayoral fund. It's about $3,000. This motion wanted to increase that to $10,000 and put a little bit more governance and structure around how that money was being allocated. So we have multiple grant streams, which is really exciting. One is to have some micro grants for community activation. So what that does is really supports low-cost, high-impact community-led initiatives. The second one is the volunteer recognition and civic contribution part of that, and that's really trying to recognise unpaid contribution and strengthening civic pride in our community. The next one was a small bucket within that 10K that's for seed funding for local innovation and pilot projects. So this is about enabling early stage pilots or initiatives to help them get off the ground. And also a hardship and rapid response support section, which is really about providing timely assistance to those that are identified to be in crisis or critical need. So that's the funding side of it in the funding streams, and then also very pleased that this went through today to have the Schools Mayoral Emerging Leadership Awards, which will be in contact with all the primary and high schools to talk about how we deliver that. So that's really good news, and that would be something that would start in the next financial year budget committee. The second one was the establishment of the Northern Tablelands Regional Organisation of Councils. And this is off the back of a meeting that the Northern Tablelands mayors had on Monday. Essentially, the old JO model fell apart for our region quite some time ago. Various reasons for that. This is a sort of lighter, less expensive version of enabling mayors to get together, work out what's important from a regional perspective and advocate collectively. Also, actually we'll move on to the financials because we did have a number of financial reports going up. There's a story that flows through all of them, but Bernard will give you a little update on that.
Yes, look, where Council is very conscious, it's custodians of public funds. So, and as the Mayor indicated, we had a number of reports up at this meeting, talking about investments, talking about loans, talking about the current state of the current budget. Our what we call the quarterly budget review was tabled. It was good news in that our operating result had improved by almost $500,000. Our deficit was reduced by that amount. That's part of our ongoing rigorous management approach where we review with a great deal of scrutiny on a quarterly basis our expenditure, our income, and make any appropriate adjustments. We had a report regarding our investments. Council is a very complex operation. Its revenue is not smooth and even. We get large grants coming in or large expenditure going out, so we need to monitor very carefully our cash flow. And that has been a particular focus over recent times as there has been some challenges in that space. But much progress has been made, and most importantly, we certainly understand that cash flow and understand where it's heading. So it's all about the financial rigour, the financial responsibility. Yes, we have some challenges in front of us, and the community would be aware of the SRV process, but that's part of planning for the future, understanding what we're going to do, but behind that, having the regular processes, the regular reports to Council about our financial situation. Another important report was regarding the School of Arts and Music. Council resolved to go ahead with a pilot project. This is really important in terms of access by the community to music lessons, to arts, to complement the offerings already out there in the community. Through consultation, it's been identified that there are gaps. More people in the community, more children in the community could be accessing lessons, could be accessing those activities. So what Council is hoping to do and hoping to achieve through this pilot is to work with the local providers, provide a forum, provide a venue where those gaps can be filled. Ultimately, we want to see greater participation in the community in that space.
Yes, and we, just to add to that, on the financial side, our external audited financial statements weren't quite ready to come up to this council meeting, but they're nearly there. So we are likely to have an extraordinary meeting sometime next week or early the following week, as we need to give 7 days notice of those final financial statements being presented to council and community. So watch out for that. That'll be probably an extra meeting this month. Now I just want to talk about a couple of items in relation to committees. So the first one is the Pinkett Recreational Reserve Management Committee. Now it's just an official nod to the committee that they have dissolved the Pinkett the 355 committee. They formed their own management committee, and this is really just ticking a box retrospectively that the money that was held previously in the 355 committee was indeed okay to be transferred across to the new committee. The second one was the dissolution of the Recreational Open Spaces Committee. Council endorsed the recommendation by staff to dissolve this committee, as it wasn't really playing the role anymore that it needed to play, and there are other sort of ways that we consult with the community. And we hope not too far away also that there'll be a consultation on our local parks, which is something to look forward to. And the last one was the dissolution of the Roads Consultative Committee. I put up an alternate recommendation on that to not go forward with that, that we wanted to retain that Roads Consultative Committee for now, that we probably need to tighten it up a bit in terms of the terms of reference. It's an advisory committee. Previously has added a lot of value, but probably the attendance hasn't been there recently. So we want to give that another chance to function as it is intended, but it will be a use it or lose it situation, so it might be revisited at another date. I also just wanted to quickly congratulate the community centre. They went through a bit of a rough trot really, and council provided some in-kind support. The new committee there have worked really hard to get the community centre's finance and governance back on track, and they've succeeded in that. So I want to say congratulations, and council were very happy to provide that in-kind support where needed. And lastly, I want to talk about the next Australian Local Government Conference. So we have resolved 7 motions to go up to the next national conference, and they are across an alternative approach to dealing with the federal assistance grants, more about, instead of the 1%, which we can't repeat from last year, to talking about the form and function and methodology of that particular funding and how it's distributed to local councils. Another one on housing, another one around childcare, biochar, place-based support for community groups, not-for-profits, etc., that are providing services to the community, and also finally another one around support and for workforce attraction, retention. A lot of these are actually based on jobs and skills pillars to support economic development and destination management. So we'll be now submitting those to the conference, and then they will assess them, and that we will then find out whether those motions have been endorsed to go into conference and into the final business paper to be debated at the National General Assembly. So lots going on. Just a reminder, the IPART special rate variation consultation is now open. Should you wish to review the full application from council, you can. You just go onto either our Have Your Say site or IPART site, and there'll be links there to get you to that information. We've already done our consultation months ago, As you will be fully aware, this is IPART's consultation, so please contact them directly and they will be considering all of those submissions. I think that was all for today. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.